Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Also, very good evening to Dr. Mbogo, who's going to co-present today's presentation. How are you?
Good, and you?
Good, Dr. Mbogo. Thank you so much. I have set you as the co-host for today.
Okay, just a minute, and because you are starting.
Okay, I'm going to start. So today I'm going to share two very important topics. Number one, to reverse the diabetes through changing your diet. And the second one, to reverse your diabetes through hormonal, regulating your hormones. So after that, I'm going to give 30 minutes to Dr. Mbogo to share his knowledge and experience with us. So I'm going to try to save every minute to go brief. Let me first share my screen. Uh, Actually, I just finished presenting the same topic to the China region. But for China region, I go in details. So I didn't have time for for both topics. I shared the first one, how to how to reverse the diabetes through changing the diet. And people are very actually people are shocked by the knowledge. So I hope you can also get some very important information from today's presentation. Can you see my screen? Make sure that you mute it, otherwise you are disturbing other people. So can you see the screen? If you can see it, please kindly you type one in the chat box so I know that you can see it. Can you see it? No, I don't think so. Okay, I'm going to restart.
Madam Lenny,
Yes,
not very clear.
very clear.
Oh,
Now
it's
now you
something.
can see it.
It's okay now. It's okay now, Madam Lenny.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to start. Well, in the previous section, we talked about number one, diabetes and its complications. And also, the second topic, we talk about the seven myths of diabesity. Now, I'm going to share how to, reverse the diabetes through changing your diet. First of all, beyond the single gene genetic disorders, there are only five root causes of all disease. Or let me go specifically, the um insulin resistance, because all these diseases are linked to insulin resistance. So number one, poor diet. Number two, stress. Number three, microbes or the bad microbes. Number four, the toxins. And number five, allergens. These factors interact with of DNA, altering the gene expression and turning key messages on or off, ultimately affecting of metabolism. These 5 courses interact with 7 key systems in the body. So when these systems fall out of balance, symptoms begin to appear, and that is when doctors give diseases their names. Now I want to go clearly that there are 2 problems of modern diet. A modern diet is problematic for 2 reasons. First, for what it contains: too much sugar, processed fat, salt, additives, hormones, pesticides, and inflammatory proteins from genetically modified sources. And second, for what it lacks: omega-3 fatty acid, fiber, magnesium, zinc, vitamin B and vitamin D, also antioxidants, and more. So something is missing, but something is too much in our diet. With the exception of most omega-3 fats, all of these missing nutrients come from a plant-based diet. So plants provide nearly all the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, phytonutrients, and fibers we need. So these are essential for keeping our biology in balance, especially when it comes to regulating metabolism and weight. The leading cause of diabetes is an unhealthy diet. Whole, real, fresh food prepared in your own kitchen is the most powerful medicine we have to prevent, treat, and even reverse diabetes. So, of nutrients poor, calorie-rich diet is the main driver of the diabetes epidemic. It has created a planet of people who are overfed yet undernourished. So now let's take a few quizzes to identify where your nutritional imbalances may lie. Several key nutritional deficiencies can contribute to diabetes. These quizzes may help you determine which ones may be affecting you. Magnesium is the relaxation mineral and helps regulate blood sugar. The following quiz will help you learn if you are deficient. For any symptoms you have experienced in the last month, give 1 point in the box and calculate the total point you get. Of course, to diagnose whether you're deficient of any nutrients, you need a blood test, not this kind of quiz. But, in the marketplace, when you have some customers that you suspect that he or she has the one of the deficiency of the nutrients. You can't wait to let them go to the clinics and come back with the laboratory reports. So actually, you can use this to help them understand their health and tell them that if they have severe problem, that they should go see a doctor. But if it is controllable, it's mild, that you can help with your suggestions and the suggestions of the products. So number 1, this little quiz help you to understand whether you lack of magnesium or not. If you see yes, give 1 point, and then we add all the points to see how many total points you have. I have a low intake of dark green leafy vegetables, such as kelp, wheat bran, or germ, or almonds, cashew, or buckwheat. 2, I'm tired often. I have trouble falling asleep or have insomnia. I'm sensitive to loud noises. I have fewer than 2 bowel movements a day. I have asthma. I experience muscle twitching. I experience leg or hand cramps. I frequently experience headaches or migraines. I have premenstrual syndrome most months. Swallowing is sometimes difficult for me. I have restless leg syndrome. It means that when you're sleeping, whatever the position you try, that you just feel uncomfortable in your legs. And sometimes you feel the pain. I frequently feel irritable. I'm depressed. I'm anxious. I have attention deficit disorders. I have a lot of stress in my life. I'm I'm autistic. I have kidney stones. I experience heart flutters, skipped beats, or palpitations. I have heart disease or heart failure. I have mitral valve prolapse. I have diabetes. So calculate, I want to show you, this is my total score. Actually, I have 4 points. Now let's take a look at this. So if you have score from 0 to 3, then you may have a slightly low level of magnesium. If you have 4 to 12 points, you may have a moderately low level of magnesium. So either your point fall between 0 to 3 or between 4 to 12. That you can change your diet. You eat green leafy vegetables, nuts and seeds, whole grains, dark chocolates, and legumes. And also you take this is for I can see this is for the other. Okay, let goes. Then you take the multivitamin tablets for adults and also spirulina plus capsules. And also, the blueberry cereals, especially blueberry super nutrition and blueberry juice can help you to improve your, the deficiency of magnesium. So you do both of the above steps and see a physician for additional assistance if you are not better after the first 6 weeks of the program. So this is for lack of magnesium. The second quiz is for vitamin D. So you can use this quiz to see whether you lack of vitamin D or not. So number 1, I work indoors. I hardly ever go out in the sun. I wear sunblock, sun lotion most of the time. I have seasonal affective disorders or the winter blues. My home is north of Florida. Okay, I'm sorry because this is designed for people who live in America. So in Africa, what I think is, if you actually cover yourself. For example, if you are Muslims or if you cover yourself when you're exposed to the sunshine, because most of you live in the places blessed with sunshine. I have dark skin. I'm 60 years old or older. I don't eat small fatty fish such as mackerel, herrings, and sardines. They are the main sources of dietary vitamin D. My muscles are sore or weak. My bones are tender. You press on your shin bone. If it hurts, you have vitamin D deficiency. So this is a very simple test. I have osteoarthritis. Vitamin D deficiency weakens bones and leads to deterioration. I have osteoporosis. I have broken more than 2 bones or fractured a hip. My mental sharpness and or memory are not what they used to be. I have an autoimmune disease. For example, thyroid disease, multiple sclerosis, or uh, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and so on. I seem to have more infections than most people I know. I have prostate cancer. So give yourself 1 point if you say yes. Okay, my point is 2. So points 0 to 3, you may have a low level of vitamin D. Then you must expose yourself 10 to 30 minutes a day in the sunshine. Or you eat fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines, tuna at least 1 week. If your point is above 4, you may have a severely low level of vitamin D. Then you need medical care. So what you can do is to supplement vitamin D. We have a vitamin D capsule. So if you don't have vitamin D capsule, that I think the best way is to go out and enjoy the sunshine in Africa. Let's go to the next one. The next test is try to tell you whether you have deficiency in omega-3 fatty acid. My skin is dry, itchy, scaly, or flaky. My nails are soft, cracked, or brittle. I have a dandruff. I have a heart earwax. I have tiny bumps on the backs of my arms or on my trunk. I'm thirsty most of the time. My joints feel itchy or stiff. I have fewer than 2 bowel movements a day. My stool is light-colored, hard, or foul-smelling. I'm depressed, have ADD or ADHD and or memory loss. My genetic background is Irish, Scottish, Welsh, Scandinavian, or coastal Native American. None of you have this. I have fibrocystic breast, or I suffer from premenstrual syndrome almost every month. My blood pressure is higher than it should be, or my LDL cholesterol is too high, while my HDL cholesterol is too low, and my triglycerides are high. So actually, I give myself 4 points. Now let's take a look at the result. So if your score is between 0 to 4, then you may have a mild fatty acid deficiency. And if your score is between 5 to 7, you may have a moderate fatty acid deficiency. Diet change, you incorporate chia seed, flaxseed, walnuts, or their oil in your diet. Since the plant-sourced ALA conversion to EPA and DHA is insufficient, you need to eat the fatty fish like the mackerels, the herrings, or sardines, and tuna or oyster. If you have score above 8, you may have a severe fatty acid deficiency. You need medical care. So for products, you need deep sea fish oil. Well, this is the best. And also, do both of the above steps and see a physician for additional assistance if you're not better after the first 6 weeks of the program. So this is for omega-3 fatty acid deficiencies. Actually, over 90%, even in America, over 90% of them are deficient in omega-3 fatty acid, which are critical to control inflammation, blood sugar, and metabolism. So, this script help you to understand your nutritional status. Now that you have identified 3 of the most common nutritional deficiencies: the magnesium, the vitamin D, and the omega-3 fatty acid, and those particularly important to metabolism and blood sugar control. So let's look at how we got into this terrible mess of being overfed and undernourished. Now you understand if you're deficient of these 3 nutrients, which are highly closely linked to blood sugar control. You know what products, you know what diet change you're going to make, and you know which products you need. Now let's take a moment to think about how quickly things can change. In the grand story of human existence, of diet have been remarkably changed, during the past 30 to 40 years. So if we look further, 1 century ago, actually of diet has remained very stable until recently. In fact, of diet has changed more in the last 100 years than in the tens of thousands of years before that. And it has changed even more dramatically in just the last 30 to 50 years. So what was the biggest change? It's not a mystery. It's about sugar. Of Paleozoic ancestors, it means that of ancestors who lived in the caves, the humans whose bodies we still carry today, consumes about 22 teaspoons of sugar per year. That's it for an entire year. By the beginning of the 90s, the average person's actually the 19th century, average person consume about 10 pounds of sugar a year. And now, the average American today eats between 150 to 180 pounds of sugar per year. So let that sink in. That's nearly half a pound of sugar per person every single day. Now, when we consume sugar in these quantities, these pharmacologic doses, it stops being food. And at this level, all sugar is harmful. So consider this, that when on soda, sports drink, or sweetened tea you see everywhere, it contains 17 teaspoons of sugar. And the average teenagers often consumes more than 20 ounces of these drinks a day, sometimes multiple times a day. So, let's be honest with ourselves. What we are doing right now is conducting a largely uncontrolled drug experiment on the human species, and our children are the primary subjects. So we need to educate our children to cut the consumption of this sugary drink. Now let's look at the high fructose corn syrup. We call it HFCS. In the last 30 years, something dramatic has happened to our food supply. The sugar calories we consume from high fructose corn syrup, or HFCS, have gone from 0% to 66%, and most of that comes in liquid form from soft drinks, from sweetened teas, and sports drinks. We know that liquid sugar calories pack on the pounds much faster than solid calories do. But the problem goes far deeper than weight gain. Today, I want to show you why HFCS is not what the commercial tells you it is. Number one, the HFCS and cane sugar are not biochemically identical or processed the same way by the body. First, let's address a common claim. The corn industry has spent millions of dollars on television commercials telling us the corn sugar is natural and identical to cane sugar. But here is the truth. HFCS and cane sugars are not biochemically identical, and they are not processed the same way by the body. Sorry, I need to mute your account. So cane sugar, which is sucrose, is a molecule where glucose and fructose are chemically bonded together. So your body has to break that bond during digestion. And HFCS, on the other hand, is an industrial food product. It's extracted from the corn stalks through a chemical process, and in HFCS, there is no bond. The glucose and fructose are free, floating separately. So that means no digestion is required. They are absorbed into your bloodstream almost immediately. This rapid absorption created a dangerous two punch in the body. First, the fructose. It goes straight to your liver. There, it triggers a process called lipogenesis. It means the production of fat like triglyceride and cholesterol. Over time, this leads to a condition affecting 70 million Americans, fatty liver disease. Second, the glucose. Because it enters the bloodstream so quickly, it causes massive spikes in insulin. And the insulin spikes drives hunger, fat storage, and metabolic chaos. So together, these two features of HFCS fuel appetite, weight gain, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, dementia, and more. But it gets even more personal. Research from the Children's Hospital Auckland Research Institute make a striking discovery. Every molecule of free fructose from HFCS requires energies to be absorbed. It literally soaks up two phosphorus molecules from ATP. That is our body's main energy source. So this depletes the energy your gut cells need to maintain their integrity. Here's what it means. Your intestinal lining is held together by tiny structures called tight junctions. They act like cement, keeping the food particles and bacteria safely inside your gut where they belong. High doses of fructose have been proven to literally punch holes in this lining. When that happens, the toxic bacterial byproducts and partially digested food proteins leak into your bloodstream, and that triggers an immune reaction, body-wide inflammation. Now you might be thinking, but what about fruit? Fruit has fructose too. Here's a critical difference. The naturally occurring fructose in fruit comes wrapped in a complex web of fiber, vitamins, and plant compounds. Your body processes it slowly. It does not cause the same biological effect as the isolated, concentrated fructose found in corn sugar. So one is whole food, the other is an industrial product. Cane sugar and the euphemistically named corn sugar are not biochemically or psychologically the same, despite what millions of dollars of advertising would have you believe. So what do we do with this information? We eliminate the HICS. Sorry, you got to mute it before you enter this Zoom meeting. So what are we supposed to do? We eliminate the HFCS from our diet completely. Not because it is trendy, but because, the science is clear. Number two, independent medical and nutrition experts do not support the use of HCFs in our diet, despite the assertions of the corn industry. As for this topic, I want to introduce you to a leading voice in the field of nutrition science, Dr. Barry M. Popkin. Dr. Popkin is a professor in the Department of Nutrition at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. He has published extensively on a critical public health issue, the dangers of sugar-sweetened beverages and their undeniable contribution to the obesity epidemic. In a pivotal review published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, Dr. Popkin explains the biological mechanism that sets one type of sugar apart. He details how the body handles free fructose, and it is not the same as glucose. So let's walk through his key points. Number one, first, the digestion, absorption, and metabolism of fructose are fundamentally different from glucose. Second, when fructose reaches the liver, its metabolism favors de novo lipogenesis, the process of creating the new fat. Three, and like glucose, fructose does not stimulate insulin secretion or enhance leptin production. To understand why that matters, we need to remember the role of insulin and leptin. These are key hormones that act as signals to our brain, telling us we've eaten enough or we are full. So they regulate our food intake and body weight. Dr. Popkin points this is if a sweetener doesn't trigger this stop eating signals, it may lead to increased energy intake and ultimately weight gain. So he emphasizes that this effect is particularly pronounced with calorically sweetened beverages, which can easily lead to overconsumption because our bodies don't register the calories in the same way they would from solid food. Dr. Popkins concluded with a strong, evidence-based statement. He notes that the rise in consumption of high fructose corn syrup, the HFCS, has a clear temporal relationship with the obesity epidemic. And he asserts that the overconsumption of HFCS in sweetened beverages likely plays a significant role in that epidemic. In conclusion, when we look at the science, we see a complex picture. The simple narrative that a sugar is a sugar overlooks the distinct metabolic effects of fructose, and understanding these differences is key to addressing the ongoing challenges of obesity and metabolic health. Number three, HFCS is almost always a marker of poor quality, nutrient poor, disease-creating industrial food products or the food-like substances. The last and most important reason to avoid products that contain HFCS is that they are a marker for poor quality food full of empty calories and artificial ingredients. If you find high fructose corn syrup or the new term corn sugar on the label, you can be sure it is not a whole, real, fresh food full of fiber, vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, and antioxidants. Stay away if you want to stay healthy. We must reduce of overall consumptions of sugar. But with this one, simple diet change, cutting out HFCS, you can radically reduce your health risk and improve your overall health. So now this is about sugar. The next is of nutritional change, number 2, of low fiber diet. Along with of increased sugar consumption, our fiber consumption has decreased tremendously. Of Paleozoic ancestors at 50 to 100 grams of fiber per day, but now we eat fewer than 15 grams per day. Fiber is important because it slows the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream from your gut, make us feel full, and reduces the cholesterol and calorie. So the fiber in a diet comes predominantly from plant food, such as fruits and vegetables, including nuts, seeds, whole grains, and beans. Those who eat a refined, processed diet out of boxes, packages, or cans typically get less fiber than those who eat whole, real food. The lack of fiber in a diet has enormous implications for of health. It contributes to heart disease, diabetes, obesity, cancers, and many other chronic diseases. In fact, studies show that the addition of high levels of fiber to the diet is as effective as diabetes medication in lowering blood sugar without any of the side effect. So you can simply increase the dietary fiber in your diet to battle against the high blood sugar level. I'm going to share with you my personal experience after my presentation. The next nutritional challenge, an epidemic of nutritional deficiencies. In North America, here is a paradox. We're eating more than we ever have in history, yet we are simultaneously nutritionally depleted. We are overfed but undernourished, and the result, a perfect storm for what is now being called the diabesity epidemic, the continuing of insulin resistance and metabolic dysfunction that leads to diabetes, obesity, and a host of other chronic diseases. So what is missing? A number of specific nutrients are absolutely critical for preventing and treating diabetes. We are talking about vitamin D, chromium, magnesium, and zinc, biotin, omega-3 fatty acid, and antioxidants like the alpha lipoic acid. So they aren't just nice to have. They're essential for the proper control of insulin and blood sugar. So when these nutrients are deficient, our biochemical machinery slows down. It can grind to a halt. So we become more insulin resistant. Our blood sugar swings out of balance and we gain weight. Now, for a long time, we've thought of food in a very simple way as fuel. We eat to get energy. to feed our bodies the calories they need to function. But new science has fundamentally changed this understanding. It turns out that food literally speaks to our genes. The information your body receives from the food you eat doesn't just feed you, it provides instructions. It turns your genes on and off, telling your body how to control your metabolism with every single bite. This isn't theoretical. Dr. Dean Ornish demonstrated this powerfully. He showed that after just 3 months on an intensive lifestyle program, including, whole food, plant-based diet, over 500 genes that regulate cancer were beneficially affected. Some cancer-causing genes were turned off. Others that protect against cancer were turned on. So let me emphasize that no medication can do that. Only food, natural food, can do this. So to really illustrate how powerful this food as information approach is, I want to share a remarkable study. It is one of my favorites because it shows how quickly and profoundly food quality affects of genes, independent of calories, carbs, or any other macronutrients. This study focused on people with pre-diabetes. They were divided into two groups. And here's the key. For 12 weeks, both groups were fed exactly the same number of calories with identical amount of proteins, fat, carbohydrates, the fiber. Macros were perfectly matched. The only difference is the source of their carbohydrates. One group ate the whole kernel rye bread and rye pasta. The other group ate oats, wheat, and potatoes and their carbohydrate sources. So these two groups eat almost same calories food, consumes all the nutrients, in proportion. But the only difference is what kind of carbohydrates they eat. Group 1, they eat only coarse grain, the rye type. The group 2 eat the calories. Normally, we believe it is even healthy from potatoes, from the wheat, and from the oats. After 12 weeks, the researchers did a subcutaneous fat biopsy. They looked at the participants' fat cells and their gene expression. They also gave them a glucose challenge to see how their blood sugar and insulin responded. The results were groundbreaking. The group that ate the rye bread had smarter, smaller fat cells and were more insulin sensitive. Their bodies were functioning better. And why? Because the information contained in the rye, specifically phytonutrients called lignans, had switched on diabesity reversing genes. So let me say that again. It didn't matter how many calories or grams of carbs they ate. It was the kind of carbs that matters. The quality of the food was as important as the quantity. And here is what's truly amazing. In just 12 weeks, dozens of genes had changed. In the right group, genes that had made participants fat and diabetic were turned off. Genes that would help them become healthy and thin were turned on. In fact, 71 genes that promoted insulin resistance and cell death were silenced. On the other hand, in the group who ate oats, wheat, and potatoes, 62 genes that promote diabesity were turned on. This led to increased stress molecules, increased inflammation, and increased oxidative stress, free radical damage, all of which drive diabesity. Remember, calories, fat, proteins, carbs, and fiber were identical. The only difference was the type of carbohydrates. So this study, among many others, point to the same conclusion, teaches us a fundamental lesson. Food is not just calories. Food is information. If you want to turn off the genes that leads to diabetes and turns on the genes that leads to health, the key is not necessarily counting calories or obsessing over the micronutrients ratios. The key is the quality and type of food you eat. So what does this optimal diet look like? It's about shifting from a nutrient-poor diet to a nutrient-rich diet. This means an abundance of plant food, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, beans and whole grains. So this way of eating improves the expression of hundreds of genes that control insulin function and obesity. We also include healthy fat. Think olive oil, avocado, nuts, and omega-3 along with modest amount of lean animal protein. You may recognize this as the Mediterranean diet, but more than a diet, it's a way of eating. Whole, real, fresh food prepared in the kitchen, not a factory. So this pattern of eating has been shown to prevent and even reverse diabetes. It reduces inflammation, boosts detoxification, balances hormones, and provides powerful oxidant protection. It addresses the underlying causes of disease. So what you put on your fork is most powerful medicines you can take. Now, even with a perfect diet, we face a challenge. Sir Albert Howard, who founded the organic agriculture movement, said it best in his landmark book, The Soil and Health. He wrote that we must treat the whole problem of health in soil, plant, animal, and man as one great subject. So the reality is, of soil are depleted, of food is stored and transported for long period. Many traditional heirloom species have been genetically altered, and we face increased stress and nutritional demands from a toxic environment. So all of this makes, excuse me, so all of this makes it nearly impossible to get all the vitamins and minerals we need from food alone. The evidence shows we cannot get away from the need for nutritional supplements. They're not a replacement for good food, but they're necessary partner. So you know what products you can take from Greenwood. So for now, I want to leave you with this thought of common idea that food is simply a source of energy is far too limited. Nutrition is the future of medicine. It will help us both understand and successfully treat diabetes. By understanding that food is information, that it speaks to of genes and shapes of biology, we can take control of health in a way that no drug alone can offer. So after this presentation, so actually I'm going to share my personal experience just through changing my diet, what happened to me. So the next presentation, I'm going to share with you about how to reverse the diabetes through uh, regulating the hormones. Okay, let me open it. Okay, so we just shared about how to reverse the diabetes through changing of diet. Now, what we are going to share is how to reverse it through regulating of hormones. In the previous section, we talked about how to reverse the diabetes through changing diet. Now we're going to discuss how to reverse it through regulating hormone imbalance. So first, of main focus will be on the hormone insulin. But here is the key takeaway. If your goal is to reverse diabetes, that combination of obesity and metabolic dysfunction, you need to look at the big picture. You have to balance all of your hormones. That includes your sex hormones, your adrenals or stress hormones, and your thyroid hormones. So think of your hormones like a grand musical symphony. Every instrument, every hormone has its role to play. They're all interconnected, interacting with one another in perfect harmony. But when this symphony plays out of tune, when even one section is off, problems start to arise. And that's exactly what happens with diabesity. So to overcome diabesity, we have to identify and treat imbalances in 4 key areas. First, thyroid imbalances. Your thyroid controls your metabolism. When it's out of balance, your entire system slows down. Second, overactive stress hormones. So when these are constantly elevated, they worsen the insulin resistance and disrupt blood sugar control. Actually, I have this problem because, my sleeping rhythm is completely disturbed by this kind of training. So my stress hormone, uh adrenal or steroid hormones increase. So that is why I test my blood sugar before. My blood sugar in the evening is even lower than my blood sugar early the following morning, even after the whole night's sleep, or after the training, because early in the morning that my cortisol level is higher. So cortisol actually triggers the blood sugar spike. So this is because of the stress hormones. And third, insulin imbalance. Finally, we have to consider its harmful effect of sex hormones. So each of these hormonal imbalance can be a contributing factor in diabesity. So in the next section, let's take a closer look at how each one play a role. So we're going to talk about thyroid hormones, stress hormones, and sex hormones, because each and any one of them can actually eventually affect your insulin hormones. Number one, let's start with the thyroid. Your thyroid controls your metabolism. It's essentially your body's master speed regulator. So when your thyroid is working slowly, your metabolism slows down. And when that happens, your risk of diabetes goes up. Now, here is something that might surprise you. Thyroid disease affects 1 in 5 women and 1 in 10 men. But here's the staggering part. 50% of people with thyroid disease are undiagnosed. They don't even know they have it. And that matters because an undiagnosed thyroid condition doesn't just sit there quietly. It actively worsens the insulin resistance. And in turn, insulin resistance makes thyroid function even worse. It becomes a vicious cycle. Even among those who are diagnosed, many are treated inadequately, often with standard medications like thyroid. Well, this can be helpful. They do not always address the root cause of the problems for everyone. So here is an important question for you. Do you suffer from sluggish, low-functioning thyroid? I invite you to take the following quiz to find out. So based on your result, you may need either dietary supplement or more individualized care, or even natural thyroid replacement. This isn't about suggesting, it's about identifying what your body truly needs to restore balance and take a real step towards reversing diabetes. Now let's take a quiz. Before we take the quiz, we understand there are 4 factors affecting the thyroid function. The thyroid gland is very sensitive to the effects of environmental toxins, infections, nutritional deficiencies like the iodine, the selenium, and the zinc, and the stress. So the quiz below will help you self-diagnose hidden thyroid problems. For any symptoms you have experienced in the last month, give 1 point in the box. Then find out how severe your problem is by using the total scoring. So before we dive into the quiz, let's take a moment to understand just how sensitive the thyroid gland really is. Your thyroid doesn't exist in isolation. It reacts to the world around you. So it is highly sensitive to environmental toxins, the chemicals and pollutants we encounter every day, and the infections, both past and present. Nutritional deficiencies, especially in key nutrients like iodine, selenium, and zinc, and stress, which affects nearly every system in your body. So now we give you a thyroid quiz. So when any of these factors are out of balance, your thyroid can suffer, often silently. So that's why we prepare the quiz below. It is designed to help you access hidden thyroid problems, issues that may have gone unnoticed but could be affecting your energy, metabolism, and overall health. So here's how it works. For any symptoms you have experienced in the last month, simply give 1 point in the box next to that symptom. So once you've completed the quiz, add up your total score. That score will help you understand how severe your thyroid imbalance may be and what steps you might need to take next. So let's begin. Take a moment to go through the list together and be honest with yourself. Your body has been giving you signals. Now it's time to listen. Number 1, the outer third of my eyebrows are thinning. So actually, I give my score. I think I scored 5. I'm sensitive to cold. My hands and feet are cold all the time. My hair is thinning. I lose hair or I have coarse hair. I have a thick skin and fingernails. My skin is dry. I experience muscle fatigue, pain, or weakness. I have heavy menstrual bleeding, severe PMS, or other menstrual problems or infertility. My sex drive has decreased. I'm tired all the time, especially in the morning. My memories and concentrations are not what they used to be. I retain fluid. It means that I have swollen hands and feet. I have difficulty losing weight or have recently gained weight. I'm frequently constipated. I'm depressed and apathetic. I have an autoimmune disease, for example, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, lupus, allergies, or yeast overgrowth. I have low blood pressure and low heart rate. I'm gluten sensitive or have celiac disease. I have been exposed to environmental toxins. I consume a lot of tuna and sushi, and or I have multiple dental silver, the mercury fillings. I have been exposed to radiation treatments. I drink chlorinated or fluoridated water. Thyroid problem runs in my family. Okay, look at your total score. If your score is 0 to 3, you may have slightly low thyroid function. And if your score is 4 to 7, you may have moderately low thyroid function. So the dietary change we give it to you is eat food rich in selenium, including Brazil nuts, fish, eggs, sunflower seeds, and mushroom. Eat food rich in zinc, oyster, pumpkin seeds, and chickpeas. Uh, and eat food rich in tyrosine, lean proteins, uh, dairy, legumes, and seaweed. And also eat food rich in vitamin B complex, the green leafy vegetables, and the whole grain. So the products, you can take spirulina plus capsule, zinc tablets, multivitamin tablets for adults, and blueberry color fruits. So if your score is 8 and above, you may have a severely low thyroid function. You need medical care. You do both of the above steps and see a physician for additional assistance if you are not better after the first 6 weeks of the program. So this is for thyroid function. Now, let's take a look at the stress hormones. um, you know, actually, the low thyroid function affects 1 in 10 men and 1 in 5 women, half of whom are not diagnosed. So to make matters worse, many patients on thyroid hormones replacement are not adequately treated. So if your thyroid is low, you can't adequately balance your blood sugar and your cholesterol or lose weight. So that is why using a whole food diet, nutritional supplement, and optimizing thyroid hormone replacement are critical in resolving diabesity. Certain foods can potentially interfere with thyroid function. Gluten, for instance, can cause autoimmune thyroid disease. Soy food have been linked to problems in thyroid functions. So studies show that when eaten in the traditional forms, freshly made soya milk, tofu, and natto and amounts, they have no effects on thyroid function. The real problem comes from frankensoy. This is a byproduct of soybean oil extraction. What is made into a soy hot dogs, protein bars, and other assorted junk food. So soy in this form has been shown to disrupt thyroid function. Avoid those foods. So I would also avoid fluoride because it competes with iodine during the production of thyroid hormones, leading to potential difficulties in thyroid production. So buy toothpaste that isn't fluoridated. So we Greenwood, we have the fluoride free toothpaste. So you can use off toothpaste to prevent that the fluoride interfere with the your thyroid function. Okay, so this is about the thyroid. Now let's take a look at another critical player in diabesity, stress hormones. So when we experience chronic stress, our bodies increase production of cortisol, the main stress hormones. And when cortisol is chronically elevated, it sets off a cascade of problems. Increased blood sugar and cholesterol, depression, and even dementia. And it promotes the accumulation of belly fats, the very fat we commonly see in patients with the insulin resistance and diabetes. But that's not all. Too much cortisol also causes muscle loss, interfere with thyroid and growth hormones, and negatively impacts sleep. And every single one of these effects promotes weight gain. So speaking of sleep deprivation increases appetite and sugar cravings. So in one study, healthy young men were deprived of just 2 hours of sleep. The result, their blood levels of ghrelin, the hunger hormones, increased, while PYY, the hormone that puts the brakes on appetite, decreased. So what did that lead to? They crave and ate more refined carbohydrates and sugar. So getting enough quality sleep is essential in the treatment of diabesity. It can help prevent weight gain, diabetes, and heart disease. But even more important than sleep is something deeper, decreasing of stress levels. Now, what exactly is stress? Stress can be defined as a real or imagined threat to our body or of ego. And let's be honest, we will always have intermittent, acute stresses in our lives. That's unavoidable. But here is the key. It's not acute stress that comes and goes that cause health problems. What has such a dramatic impact on diabetes and so many other chronic illnesses is unremitting stress. And unremitting stress is created in part by our attitude towards that stress. So ask yourself, do you believe that things will work out in the end? Do you see the glass as half empty or half full? Do you view the world as a safe place or a dangerous place? So the effects of stress are shaped by our thoughts, attitudes, and beliefs. And here is the empowering truth. We can change what we think and believe. And when we do, we can reduce the impact of daily stress on our lives. So remember, you shouldn't believe every stupid thought you have. Your mindset matters. And by shifting it, you take a powerful step towards reversing diabetes and reclaiming your health. So the products that can help you manage stress level, including the cordyceps. Cordyceps belongs to a class of herbs and mushrooms known as adaptogens. So these substances help the body adapt to stressors by normalizing physiological functions and preventing the negative effects of prolonged stress. It helps you manage stress levels through two mechanisms. Number one, regulating stress hormones. Research indicates that cordyceps can help balance the body's level of cortisol and other stress-related neurotransmitters. A study on a cordyceps compound showed it could normalize the serum corticosterone levels in stressed subjects. Another study found that a combination containing cordyceps significantly reduced cortisol, uh, epinephrine, and noradrenaline levels. Number two, it combats physical and mental fatigue. Stress often manifests as a physical and mental exhaustion. Cordyceps is well documented for its anti-fatigue properties. So the multiple studies have shown it can increase exercise endurance, reduce key markers of physical fatigue, such as blood lactic acid and blood urine nitrogen. It also increases energy stores like glycogen in the liver and muscles. So, cordyceps is a very good product to help you to relieve stress levels. Now, let's talk about how too much insulin affects your sex hormones, and the effect might suppress you. So, here's a simple way to understand it. If you are a man, too much insulin can make you more like a woman, and if you're a woman, it can make you more like a man. So, this sounds very, very weird. Now, let me explain what that actually means. So, for women, insulin resistance can lead to a range of hormonal imbalance. So you can see hair growth on the face and body and wanted hair in places like the chin, upper lips, or chest, and at the same time, loss of hair on the head. So many women also experience acne and irregular menstrual cycles. In short, insulin resistance can cause women to grow a mustache or beard, go bald, or get pimples, all signs of excess male hormones triggered by too much insulin. But it goes even deeper. Insulin resistance can also be an unrecognized cause of polycystic ovarian syndrome or PCOS. And PCOS is a leading cause of infertility in women. This isn't just a reproductive issue, it's a nutritional problem driven largely by a toxic diet and environment. So, what does this mean? It means that what we eat, how we live, and the environment we are exposed to directly shape our hormonal balance. And when insulin gets out of control, it throws off sex hormones off balance with very real, visible, and often distressing consequences. The good news, because this is rooted in nutrition and lifestyle, so it can be reversed by addressing the underlying causes. The liver regulates hormones level in the body, and the production of hormones is affected when someone has a liver condition. So one of the major endocrine functions of the liver is to regulate the levels of sex hormones, so like estrogen and androgen. Through these hormones are initially secreted from the testes. Testes produce the androgen, and ovaries produce the estrogen. So their levels are maintained by the liver, which metabolize this this excess hormones by activating and facilitating their excretion through bodily waste. So when there's a liver condition like cirrhosis in men, the liver will not be able to metabolize the excess estrogen, and there will be an imbalance in the body, leading to the conditions like enlarged breast. Another risk factors for men with liver condition is the high level of sex hormones binding globulin, which leads to low levels of free testosterone in their body for maintaining libido and sexuality. Are your sex hormone out of balance? Let's take a quiz below to find out. Now, we take a quiz to understand the sex hormone imbalance for women. So many symptoms people suffer from are related to imbalances in their sex hormones. Men and women each respond differently to those imbalances. So take the appropriate quiz to find out if hormonal imbalances are making you miserable. For any symptoms you have experienced in the last month, give a point in the box and calculate the total scores to understand whether you have sex hormone imbalance. So now let's take a quiz for women. I have irregular cycles, heavy bleeding, or light bleeding. Prior to my period, I often get headache and or migraines. My breasts are tender and enlarged. I frequently have PMS. I'm experiencing peri or menopausal symptoms. I have hot flashes. I no longer have any interest in sex. I have a dry skin, hair, and interest, vagina. I experience monthly weight fluctuation. I have bloated most of the time. I experience edema, swelling, puffiness, or water retention. I get premenstrual cravings, especially for sweet or salty food. I have frequent mood swings. I feel anxious. I'm depressed. I feel unable to cope with ordinary demands. I have a back, joint, or muscle pain. I suffer from infertility. I use birth control pills or other hormones. I have a breast cyst or lumps or fibrocyst breast ovarian or uterine cancer runs in my family. I have a uterine fibroids. I have a night sweat. I have a trouble sleeping. I sometimes have heart palpitation. My memory and concentration are not what they used to be. I have facial hair. I have been exposed to pesticides or heavy metals in food, water, and or in the air. Uh, then you calculate your total score. If you score from 0 to 9, you may have a mild sex hormone imbalance. From 10 to 14, you may have a moderate sexual hormones. So, of diet change suggestion, eat food rich in selenium, Brazil nuts, fish, eggs, sunflower seed, or mushroom. Eat food rich in zinc, including oyster, shellfish, beef and lamb, pumpkin seed, and chickpeas. Eat food rich in tyrosine, lean proteins, dairy, legumes, seaweed, and eat food rich in vitamin B complex, green leafy vegetables, and whole grains. Eat whole traditional soy food such as freshly made soy milk, tofu, tempeh, miso, natto, and anemone, which contains isoflavones. 6 ground flaxseed, 2 teaspoons a day, which contain lignans. So if you cannot follow this dietary change, you take deep sea fish oil capsule, zinc tablets, cordyceps capsule for women at menopausal stage, royal jelly capsule, soya power capsule, and kidney tonifying capsule for women. Of course, if you have 15 points and above, it means that you may have a severe sexual hormone imbalance. You need medical care. So this is for women. Now let's take a look at a quiz for men. Okay, for men, if you experience any of these problems, you give 1 point and then calculate the total points. I have a man boobs or have lost hair on my arms, legs, and chest. I'm often tired or have low energy. I feel a sense of apathy towards my life and future. I have lost my vitality and sex drive. I have trouble achieving or maintaining an erection. I'm infertile or have low sperm counts. I have a loss of muscles. I have increased abdominal fat. I feel weak. I have bone loss or bone fractures. My insulin and blood sugar levels have increased. I'm suffering from depression. I have been exposed to pesticide or heavy metals in food, water, and or in the air. Okay, so all sex hormones are synthesized from cholesterol. So if your diet is too low in fat, hormones production plummets. And also zinc is the most critical mineral for testosterone production. Even the mild zinc deficiency can lower testosterone and sperm count. Vitamin D is technically a steroid hormone itself, and it acts as a precursor to testosterone and estrogen. Low vitamin D is strongly correlated with low testosterone and hormonal imbalance. Boron is a trace mineral that helps the body metabolize and utilize sex hormones. Cordyceps has been shown to boost sex hormone levels, especially testosterone in males, and estradiol, a form of estrogen in females. So if you have 0 to 4 sperm, you may have a mild sex hormone imbalance. If your point is 5 to 6, you may have a moderate sexual hormones. So a dietary change suggestion is eat food rich in healthy fats, including egg yolks, avocados, olive oil, and coconut oil. Eat food rich in zinc, oyster, shellfish, beef and lamb, pumpkin seeds, and chickpeas. Eat food rich in vitamin D, including fatty fish, cod liver oil, and 10 to 30 minutes exposure to sunlight. 4. Eat food rich in boron, including almond, raisins, dates, prunes, and chickpeas. So if you can't follow the dietary suggestion, you take deep sea fish oil capsule, zinc tablets, cordyceps capsules, kidney tonifying for men, or Vigor Power. So if you get a point above 7, you may have a severe sexual hormone imbalance. You go see a doctor. So regulating hormone levels take actually months and years. So this is the second step in reversing your diabetes state, and it must be built upon the foundation of the first step, nutritional support, since the synthesis and metabolism of hormones depend on balanced nutrition. So please stay tuned for the next session. I have covered how to reverse the nutritional how to reverse the diabetes through changing your diet, and also I have covered how to reverse the diabetes through through the regulating of your hormones. So actually now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you my personal experiences following the dietary change. Actually, the genes of diabetes, or let's see, diabetes runs in my family. My grandma passed away. She died of the type 2 diabetes. when I was 12 years old. At that time, we didn't even have the proper treatment. So I saw her died in the hospital. And my dad was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, type 2 diabetes at 40s. So now he's 91. He actually have 50 years of history of type 2 diabetes. And all my aunts, my uncles have type 2 diabetes. So I believe that this gene runs in my family. And also, I have my own problems. I said my hormonal level is completely disturbed, especially the stress hormones due to this kind of training. My cortisol level is very high. And also, I have to be frank to you, uh, I did eat in an unhealthy way. So I love junk food, including cakes, pastries, chocolate, soda drinks, and also I love the carbohydrate food. As a Chinese, I love porridge, noodles, dumplings, steamed buns, and all this pure carbohydrates. So, I realized that my blood sugar level, the fasting sugar level, the after meal sugar level, uh, are both high. Before I started my dietary change, so my sugar level in the morning fasting even can go as high as 7. That is pre-diabetic, or even I can diagnose myself type 2 diabetes. So after I read this book, actually all this information we gave to you not come from my mind. It comes from very well-known book, The Code of Diabetes, written by a Canadian clinical physicians who studied diabetes for years and also did a lot of research. So I want to test what he says in the book is true or not on myself. So from after I came back from West Africa, that is 10th of February, I started the diet change. First, I cut all the consumption of any junk food. So no more pastries, cakes, sweets, cookies, I stopped all this. And also, I replaced the carbohydrate with pure vegetable. So, okay, let me explain my meal. Now, over there is my dinner: the corn, the boiled eggs, the green pepper, and some of it's a kind of a mushroom soup. So that is what I eat. Uh, no rice, no pasta, no dumplings, no chapatis. We also eat chapatis in China. None of this anymore. I replace all this kind of food with vegetables. So in my plate, half of my plate is full of all sort of, at least 2 types of vegetables, and 1/4 fruits, another quarter high quality proteins, eggs, fish, chicken breast, sometimes lambs, and sometimes beef. I eat pork, but not too much. So all this, sometimes I drink milk and sometimes a cup of yogurt, the plain yogurt without any sugar. So I gave all the white sugar to my mom. There's no sugar in my kitchen. And then I keep on my exercise. Actually, I've been going swimming for almost 1 year, 5 times in a week, 45 minutes each time. That is 1,000 meters uh, for breast stroke. So I did this for 2.5 months every morning. The first thing after I go to the toilet is to weight myself. So I keep a record of my body weight and my waistline. The waistline, I don't want to reveal the real figure, but the good things is some of my pounds, my shoulders becomes bigger. And I lost 3 kilos. Well, it doesn't sound amazing. It doesn't sound significant, but to me, believe me, it is amazing because after 35 years old, my body weight never ever drops. It keep on increasing, non-stop. So every year, half a kilo, every year, half a kilo. So you can imagine, I add 10 kilos weight, after 35. And then, I didn't starve myself. I didn't starve myself. I eat well. I have enjoy good appetite. I eat almost all type of foods, completely eliminate refined carbohydrates, and I never feel dizzy, faintness, or palpitation due to low blood sugar level. And I wear one devices. There's one kind of devices to test your blood sugar level. It is a small, very tiny needle that inserts into your skin, and then uh, we use the Bluetooth to connect the device with app in my mobile phone, so I can read my blood sugar level anytime, and even I can read it after I get up to understand how my blood sugar goes during my sleeping. So I keep on observing it. And the lowest figures I get, which is around 3.8, 3.9, occurs when I was swimming. So, when I'm swimming, I wrapped my arms because I wear that devices at the upper arm, my left upper arm. So I wrapped a cling. Well, that cling is not for foods, for kitchen. That a cling for protecting the wound of the patients who undergo an operation. So wrap the cling around my arms, and then I just jump in the water and did my swimming. So after I finished the swimming, I read my app, the figures, and then I realized that the blood sugar level goes around 3.8. It's low, but I didn't feel any uncomfortable. And I tested that, when you do exercise, actually your muscles pick up the glucose from your bloodstream, even without the assistance of insulin. So that is why it explains that athletes, when they're very physically active, normally none of them have type 2 diabetes. They only have type 2 diabetes after they stop the exercise. So, this is my personal testimony of what says in the book is true, and what the information I provide you today is being tested on my own, on myself. So now I will hand over the platform, the floor, to Dr. Mbogo, who is an expert in health and also in products. So, Dr. Mbogo, thank you so much for co-presenting today's presentation. So, please kindly, you can take over the floors.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Rainey. Let me say, I also learned a lot from you. And I really appreciate the moment that you have given so that I may also be able to chip in and bring something. And from what you have learned, you have seen that the hormones normally operate together. They operate together. That means it is part of what you call endocrine system. The endocrine system is where you have the chemical communication of hormones. For example, when it comes to reproductive system, especially among women, there is a lot to do with the hormone communication. Right from the pituitary gland, it is the follicle stimulating hormone, the luteinizing hormone, which have effect on different area. And the insulin is one of the hormones. It is part of endocrine system. That means either reduction of insulin or increase of insulin will affect other hormones, and that's why we have seen that the stress hormone, which is the hormone produced by the adrenal gland, that is adrenaline hormone, and also when you talk of other like testosterone hormones, which is sexual sex hormone, and estrogen, when we have insulin problem, then definitely will be affected. That means the hormones keeps on communicating. So I also want to stress that the body can produce about 18 to 40 units of insulin on a minute per day. And this is where now the issue of excess of carbohydrates, as Madam Lane is putting, or sugar, sugar, especially what you have talked of, fructose sugar, which is mainly the fruit sugar, which is normally actually processed in the industry, and a lot of things happen. And I also appreciate the fact that we are aware that this industrial sugar that is form of fructose, it is not very compatible like the one you have in sucrose sugar, because sucrose sugar, which is the sugar cane sugar, has two molecules. It has glucose and it also have fructose. They are compatible, and the way they are dealt in Krebs cycle and during the breaking down to release energy is quite different. But coming to insulin, having it for 18 to 40 units, there is what we call basal amount of insulin that the body produces per day, about zero point 0.2 or thereabout, or zero point 0.2 to 1, when the body is at rest. When the body is at rest. And then from there, there will be a gradual increase, a gradual increase. And remember, what trigger this gradual increase is the amount of sugar, amount of glucose that is in the blood. And there is gradual increase, and this one is meant to pump the sugar from the bloodstream into the cell. So now, if the diet is not controlled, what will happen? The body will produce more and more insulin, and more insulin, so that you can have this sugar pumped from the cell, from the bloodstream into the cell. And if the body normally work, the way the body work is in such a way that there is a maximum amount of insulin that the body can produce. And that is what we call insulinemia. That is insulin in the blood. If we have hyperinsulinemia, it is when we have more of insulin in the blood, then it will come a time now the body will reject this insulin from being the body ability to use this insulin to go and take the sugar to take sugar into the cell, because the sequence is like this: a lot of blood sugar entering into a bloodstream from digestion, and especially when you have influx. Influx is when you take sugar that don't need to go through digestion, that is needed to be absorbed, like when you take what you call empty calories. So the sequence is a lot of blood sugar enter into your bloodstream, and the pancreas pump out this level of sugar, high level of insulin, to get more blood sugar into your cell. That is the process. And over time, your cells stop responding. It stops responding well to insulin. And this is where now we talk of or talk of insulin resistance. This is where you talk of the insulin resistance. And that means the blood sugar will remain high. And that is when we do the testing. You see that the blood sugar is high. And this will keep now, the body response. Many of us know what we call in the body negative feedback. When something is high, and the body will respond, what is called negative feedback. So in this case, there is no negative feedback when it comes to insulin production. The body will continue producing more, and it become like now positive feedback. Positive feedback when it comes to response, body response, is when the body initiates its own program to reduce or to bring down what has gone wrong, and then the body, instead of the rate going down, it will produce more. Let me use an example which is a little bit more common. Our body temperatures allow 36.5 degrees Celsius. Those who use the degrees Fahrenheit, they may know the unit. And if at all there is infection, for example, the body temperature goes up as it tries to create an environment where either bacteria or virus is not multiplying. And if the temperature goes up, it will affect other organs. And when it reaches a level where it's quite high, the body is supposed to bring a change which will bring the temperature down. If this temperature does not go down, even when the body bring mechanisms such as sweating and the rest to bring it down, and it continue increasing, that is what we call positive feedback. So in this case, when it comes to this insulin, and remember, I've mentioned that insulin is a hormone, and the hormones are chemical compounds that keep on having effect or produced in one area, transported in the bloodstream, and have an effect in other area. Even the sex hormone like estrogen and the rest, wherever it is produced, whether it is within the ovary or the testes, it has to be taken into the bloodstream, meaning that it has other effects. And that's why you see this one, when instead of having a negative feedback when it comes um, to bring the sugar down, it continue increasing, and the blood sugar keeps increasing. And this sugar now, this high insulin, and also having effect in other area. Now, what triggered it? And this is where now we look at what now bring the issue of diet that will bring this one down. Because we saw earlier that there is the basal amount of insulin that the body produces. The rest of it either the increase is caused by the amount of glucose, the amount of sugar that is within the blood. So in this case, that means though we have 18 to 40 units, now we need to keep it at that level. I need to keep it at that level or even lower. And if the body has what we call positive feedback, that increase of insulin is not having any effect on reduction of blood sugar, and this is where we normally go to pre-diabetic and diabetic level. The way to deal with it is deactivate the body process that actually cause the increase of insulin. And this is where now Madam Lady is putting it, and he has also put it into trial. And I've also seen people doing it because there is a doctor whom we normally associate with, and he said the very best way of dealing with the sugar diabetes, is ensuring that the ability of the body to control the sugar is meant and remained with the amount of insulin. because especially the type 2 diabetes, although there is genetic issue, and I want also to clarify that when it comes to the genetic issue, the genetic strength vary from individual to individual. The genetic strength from my head may be stronger than somebody else. And this is where now, if at all, probably you have a lineage or you have a family where diabetes is very common, it means your genetic strength as far as diabetes is concerned is weak. And that does not mean that you are going to get diabetes. The fact remains that if you all know that, if you know your history or the history, you have a history of a family where there is diabetes, the point is you need to take the step much earlier. If you have been taking these things, maybe, and you have not been getting the diabetes, this is what you call empty calories, the junk food, and you have not been having it. From the history, you may not know when the body will reach its maximum or optimum ability to control the blood sugar, and then it will not be able to control it again. That means if a family has, if someone comes from a family where there is diabetes, the area they start controlling the way the insulin is behaving in their body need to be started earlier than those who have no history. But the interesting thing is that you may not know when this insulin issue will say enough is enough, and then now I start affecting the other organs. And you see, since the hormones communicate, you will see that the same hormone, insulin, which is high, will also affect other hormones that are involved in metabolism. There is lipase, which is a hormone that is normally used to break down fats. There is also the hormones, because the body communication is all about hormones. There is a hormone that normally trigger the storage of fat, and this become a problem. Therefore, if all these one are distorted, not only that the insulin issue, diabetes, which is actually as a result of insulin disorder or metabolism, will affect other body parts, other body organs, and other body or body issue. And this one will come even as we see that other area will be affected. I also have to point it out that a major cause of death with diabetes is the complications that come about. I've had several people who have had diabetes in our place and in our shop, and most of them have had other area. I've seen people now having amputation because the damage, and this one I want us to relate, that when even the sugar level is high, the insulin could also be high, but the body has rejected the entry of that sugar. So the sugar will be causing damage. The high sugar level will be causing damage to the retina, will be causing a problem to the heart, to the brain, and other nerves, and the nerves, as well as now violating the other hormones that are within the body, and therefore the body becomes distorted. So if we have, you see now, the reversing of diabetes as a result of hormonal control. And this one we are saying the hormonal control is not a matter of injecting or maybe forcing the body to produce more. The basic management is number one, reduce the amount of the body, I mean the amount of carbohydrates, the junk food, the what you call the empty calories that the body have, so that it may not trigger the excess production of the insulin. And this is what I want to say, and this is the risky fact I want to put forth, that some people think that the more you take of sugar, because what I see here, the maximum required amount of sugar for many people should be about 7 sachets. And if you take more than that, that means the body cannot manage it. The body cannot manage it. The body will produce more insulin, causing more harm. So what do we do in this case when you talk to control? As you reduce the amount of empty calories, you are not only reducing the amount of convertible sugar to a storable form in adipose tissue, you are also of that meaning, or we are also reducing the workload of your pancreas in terms of insulin production. And the less of the insulin that you produce, the less it's meaning the better for you, because it will have less effect when it comes to other organs. So the greatest trigger over this matter is the amount of the calories that you take. And somebody said, if you really want to handle this matter, make sure that the body is not producing a lot of insulin by actually reducing the amount of sugar, the amount of carbohydrate that one is taking. Of course, this one will also go hand in hand in weight reduction. At the other time, I was also assuming that the weight gain, because what I see here is that everybody, I mean, your body weight that require, like now, you require 0.2 to 0.5 unit of insulin per kilogram of body weight per day. So if I have, for example, 80, I mean, it's 80 kilogram, it will be 80 multiplied by 0.3. 3, that will be the amount of insulin that the body may require per day. That is the unit. But now, suppose I turn to 90 kilogram, and that is why I want to say that with weight gain, you are also forcing the body to produce more insulin, of which now will affect other hormones that are in the endocrine system. So if I do mathematics here so quickly, if at all, for example, it's between, because it is 0.2 to 0.5, if I may take it 0.4, multiply by 80, that one will be and something like that a 2 unit, it will be that a 2 unit, and that one will be within the range, because it is still 18 to 14 unit per day. Now suppose I become 100 kilogram, 100 kilogram, and then definitely it will increase the requirement by, now it will be by another 0.8 unit. What does that mean? It means the insulin that you didn't want to add more, they need not to add more. Now, by increasing your body weight, you are forcing the body to increase the amount of insulin that it is producing, because if the unit production is about 0.4 unit per kilogram of a body weight per day, that means you will have much more produce. So it is very crucial if you want to reduce the issue of insulin or balancing the hormone. The body weight must be brought down. The body weight must be brought down, because now the less the number of kilograms that you have as per body weight, the less the amount of the insulin that body require per day. This is how now to bring it down. So when you see the response as you reduce the amount of calories, you reduce the amount of carbohydrates that you take, the body will consume more of what was stored in form of fat, and the kilos come down. And as the kilos come down, the amount of the usually required by the body per day will be greatly reduced. So by so doing, you will see that it will work very well. I have two cases that I want to actually mention of. One is one of my sister, and another one is a case of not within what I refer to as diabetes, but a case of how I had a problem with protein metabolism. I had a problem with the protein metabolism, especially from eggs. And as Madam Laney put it, this cannot be a 1 year or 1 month activity. For me, I started, initially I could eat eggs very well, very well. I could eat more and more. And it came a time because also the protein is normally broken down by a different enzyme, which is also produced by the pancreas. The enzymes and they are actually looking alike. And if the body came a time when no more could be taken, if at all there is even one bit of it comes in my body, even when it is in a particular given food like cake and the rest, definitely there could be a reaction and hyperacidity, which could be very severe. Then what did I do? Because today is a different story. What I did is I abandoned eggs completely for a period of time. For a period of time. And by so doing now, you see, the cause of this reaction was that the eggs that I was eating, or the protein that I was taking, was much more than the enzymes that were produced that were produced to break down this egg, and therefore it could not be broken, and therefore issue of toxicity comes in, and that is what it was causing the hyperacidity. I stopped it for a long period of time. And the body now was producing just enough of that. There was no resistance. There was no issue of producing more to bring this protein down since it was not there. And later on, what I did is I introduced my egg to eggs back to my body in small quantity. And now it came a time when I realized this is the much that I can take without the body reacting. Likewise, this is what we need to do. After we have reduced and we have changed our diet and bring the insulin down, it will come a time even the body will adjust such that now it will set its own program that this is the much I can handle without necessarily causing havoc to other organs, causing havoc to other hormones like sex hormone, like growth hormone, and the rest, and also the hormones that control the body metabolism, and that is the thyroid hormones. So in this case, is we will bring a permanent reversal because after you have known this is the much I can take, this is my body weight, this is what the body will produce, and it will seems to be enough, then definitely you are going to trigger, or we are going to trigger what we call self-regulation when it comes to the body sugar. But what is the problem now? The problem that we have, this require discipline. It require discipline. It require you change and decision making and follow up, and don't fall into the trap again, because this is a matter of life and death. Because you see that now this hormone, the insulin hormone, will affect the other hormones. So you have to bring it down. And I have a case of my sister I've mentioned who have been diabetic for a period of time. It's now about 16 years or so. And initially, she could not really handle it with medication. It could still go overboard, and then had issue like regular infection and also sometimes kidney distress as a result of sugar. And also the other hormones greatly affected. And now She changed the diet, and by then she was 89 kilograms, and now she changed the diet. Now with very little of the carbohydrate, very little, more of vegetables and fruits. I mean, more vegetables and the fruits that were not having sugar. We have fruits that not have sugar, like cucumber. We have gourget, which are quite preferable. If the mangoes cannot do, then you can go to those fruits that are of less sugar, like kiwi fruit and the rest, and more of vegetables, and again quite substantial amount of protein, because when you have that, they will be metabolized. And the very interesting things is, if you have less sugar within the bloodstream, now insulin go down, but at the same time, remember, there is the body that has stored fat. This fat is the one that will be used to give energy, and therefore by so doing, you reduce the amount of insulin, and at the same time you reduce the amount of the body weight that require higher insulin. And in this process, it's much better compared to the medication that you may go with for a long time. Now, let me also put it this way. We have glucoblock. We also have balsam, and also spirulina. We also have chitosan, which are very crucial when it comes to this blood sugar control, and also improving on the sensitivity. Yes, these products help. They help a lot in terms of trying to revive the pancreas if at all it was not producing enough insulin, and also at the same time reduce the amount of sugar within the bloodstream by making the cell more sensitive to insulin, so that the sugar can come in. So this one will help, will normally act as a helper, so that as the body rectify its system, so that it can have self-regulation, they will play a key role when it comes to this issue of bringing the insulin down, or making the body regulate the amount of sugar within its normal level. But remember, you cannot depend even on conventional medicine like glucosamine and the rest, even Noglo and those other strong or first line, second line medication for diabetes. You cannot just eat the way you want and then take the medication. So you cannot just take our product like Chitosan, Glucoblock, and also Barsam, and then assume that everything is okay. You cannot. As long as the body decided that enough is enough in terms of self-regulation when it comes to sugar level in your blood, things cannot be remain the same. Forcing the body using the medication is not the solution. Forcing the body change use the sugar, or store it in the liver, or store it in the adipose tissues in form of a fat, is not the solution. The solution is you bring your body back to the status it was before the onset of the diabetes. And this one, it is in terms of calorific intake, the amount of insulin that the body is producing, which is directly proportional to the amount of calories that you are taking, and to come to a level where it will say no more of this, it cannot take anymore, and the insulin increase. You need to bring it to that initial status that it were before these things triggered out. And this is where you see now, when you bring down what was causing the problem, or what was causing the increase, then the body will adjust. Yes, it may take some time. There could be some demands. You could feel quite hungry sometimes, but with the time, the body will be able to manage your body will be able to manage. I also have to put it this way, even as I try to say, I've seen it work with my sister before even I forget. Now her sugar level is about between 4 and 6 millimole per liter of blood, which of course is way way below the alarming level of 8 to 7, way below that, and that means can be classified as normal without now she's not taking any medication, any blood sugar medication. But what could happen if when you have attained that status whereby the body now is able to manage, or they have reversed their meaning the blood sugar level, reverse the diabetes to where you have blood sugar being normal. If you go back to the same habits that you had before, the same way of eating, the same amount of kilogram that you have been having, the weight I mean, then the body will go back to where it was, and it may be much harder to manage it. So in this case, when you are able to bring it to where the body have its own self-regulation of blood sugar, then make sure you have set your eating behavior to align itself with what the body now require, and don't fall into the habit whereby you now take assumption and find yourself. Let me say, in the past 3 or 4 years, it has been a score on my side, where because sometimes back I used to weigh 90 kilogram, I mean 92 kilogram. Of course, at that time, within my score, I've seen like the score of being sluggish. It was quite high. I could score very well being sluggish. Also, having some kind of micro sleep, it was quite common. And also feeling tired always, it was quite common. And this was as a result. By then, I was 92 kilograms. I used to take bread. I used to take chapati. I used to take rice. I used to take ugari and so many other things. And now I made up my decision, and my decision was actually reversed when I realized, or my decision was made when I realized that I was becoming less productive because I'm a long distance driver. Sometimes I can drive long distance and still remain sober and actually active. I used to drive maybe like 400 kilometers or 450 kilometers. But when I was realizing that the weight was really doing me more harm than good, I could not travel or drive more than 140 kilometer without feeling overrest. And then I reduced the weight. I realized not only the issue of weight, but also my metabolism was better. Ability to ability to concentrate was better. And more hours were more productive because now the body has attained its way of regulating. When at that level, there was no problem. My main experience, especially when it comes to stressing on thyroid hormones and also the body metabolic hormones, is mainly with the protein and again with the weight. So now, if you do that, you'll be able to control you'll be able to reverse or to regulate your hormones, and by so doing, reverse your diabetes. And I want to mention it again. When you have managed it with the time, stay at that particular requirement. Don't indulge yourself with a lifestyle that can take you back to where you were. Thank you very much. I'm through. I've had an experience. Um, and surely it can be reversed. And I can see from a question here: can type 1 diabetes be reversed? Well, we need to look at the cause of type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is autoimmune disorder. It's an autoimmune disorder. It is not diet related. It is the body fighting itself. The body harm the cells that produce the insulin, and therefore most of them die. Immunity system kill them, and therefore the body cannot produce insulin. And therefore, unless you are able to reverse the cause of this autoimmune disorder, then definitely it will not be reversed. They cannot be reversed because it's not something which is within your habitual ability. It is within your body that the body immune system react over the beta cells of your pancreas, kill them or destroy them or make them inactive. And unless we are able to make the immune system change from that, then the person will depend on insulin. It depend on injectable insulin. So, thank you very much. Back to you, Madam Rainey.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mbogo. First of all, you are an expert not only in presentation but also in providing the health solutions to those people who in need. And also you walk the talk. Congratulations that with the dietary change that also you improved your health. So I think as presenters and trainers, we first should exemplify what we are presenting. So thank you very much for this. We are going to invite you more for the future presentations. So also thank you very much for having tuned in for this presentation. Please, next time, we are going to see you next Friday, and you need to invite more people, your your team members and also your customers, and even those people who are not yet the members of Greenwords, they should know some of the tips how to maintain their well-being. Okay, thank you so much. And thank you so much. Once again, enjoy your weekend and enjoy Labor's Day, right? Today's the Labor's Day is an international holiday. Okay, thank you so much once again. Thank you, Dr. Mbogo. Uh, we're going to see you next Friday. You
Thank you
can,
very much. Have a good night.
and
It
I,
is just a morning now.
yeah, thank you,
Have
and
a good morning.
thank you, and
Mm.
I look
Thank
forward to meet you in wherever, either it's in Canada or in Uganda and in China, also in China. So see you.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Good night, Madam Rainey. Good night, Mr. Bogo.
Good
Good
night,
night.
Miss Mashara. Good night.